Players love magic items. And your players not only want, but expect their characters to discover these mystical treasures and wield their ancient power. Fortunately, there are a ton of magic items in the official 5e books, currently 735 to be exact, but there are a select few magical items that I say are essential to the D&D experience. Health potions, +1 weapons, and the bag of holding. And yeah, they're basically all included in Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, so I might have a little nostalgia bias. By all means, fly to the comments to share which items really belong in this top 3, but take a moment to consider the foundational fantasy concepts embedded in these 3 items. A magical elixir to heal the wounded, a weapon imbued with otherworldly power required to slay many deadly monsters, and a portal to another dimension that allows you to carry a butt-ton of gold out of the dragon's lair. They can be scaled for low-level characters or epic-level heroes, and we can make them unique so your character feels like their +1 longsword is like no other. Hi, I'm Bob. This is where we learn how to have more fun playing D&D together, and the first question to ask when making a magic item unique is where will the character encounter it? In high fantasy settings like the Forgotten Realms, magic shops are a straightforward option you can take advantage of, but creating memorable magic shops and merchants with full inventories and prices for all their enchanted wares is very time-consuming and kinda confusing, because the official books don't have exact prices for almost any magical items. So I highly recommend checking out this video's sponsor, Wanderer's Guide to Merchants and Magic. This Kickstarter sourcebook by best-selling publisher Evantier Games contains 20 magic shops with fully detailed shopkeepers, descriptions, inventories, and quest hooks so they can be inserted directly into your campaign world. Among the shops are over 100 completely new magic items, but the section I'm most excited about are the guidelines for trading magic items with price lists for all magic items from the 5e basic rules. And if they hit their stretch goals, Mike Shea, author of Return of the Lazy DM, will contribute a magic merchant to the book, so check it out through the links below. Whether your characters buy the item from a store, steal it from a monster's horde, or find it in the belly of some gargantuan beast, the very place where a character first encounters any magical item is crucial, because that moment when they lay their eyes on it is when the item becomes real. And generally speaking, you're going to pair these item encounters with fantastic locations or deadly monsters, because magic items should be rewards for your character's heroic deeds. But another reason that location is important, and that shopkeeper NPCs are particularly useful, is that they should hold clues or legends about that particular item, because our second major point for making that potion, bow, or bag unique is to give it its own story. Now you might be thinking, well Bob, some consumable items, including potions of healing, are technically common magic items in 5e, so surely they wouldn't all be unique. Intelligent viewer, you've done it again. But unless your setting has a magical corporation that mass produces and distributes health potions such that every magic shop would have a row of shiny red vials lining a shelf like Coca-Cola in a modern grocery store, the place of origin and the customs of the people who made that potion would absolutely affect its recipe. So at least regionally, health potions should taste, smell, and look a little bit different, making this quite literally a matter of flavor. Health potions from the coast should be extra salty. Health potions from cold or mountainous regions can be bitter, or maybe minty. Health potions from temperate lands and the tropics can be sweet or sour. And health potions from dry or subtropical regions should be a little too spicy for some characters' tastes. Furthermore, the spices, herbs, fruits, roots, and monster parts that go into these potions should be visible, or at least determine the color and consistency of the liquid inside, if not its actual potency or additional effects, but we'll talk about mechanical tweaks in a minute. Just as an example, one time when my party found themselves desperate for healing in a tiny, remote village with no right to have any healing potions, I created on the fly an NPC apothecary known simply as Granny, who was able to offer a tea containing pine needles, wintergreen, powdered iron, and some other secret ingredients. So it was warm and watery, but leafy, gritty, minty, and green with shimmers of the iron dust floating inside. And they loved it. So much so that the party later ended up turning Granny's Tea into a line of healing drinks, including Granny's Tea Light, Granny's Tea Classic, and Granny's Lil Sip. For +1 weapons, you can apply similar regional specifications, and just giving magic weapons an odd color or strange runes is usually enough. These details determine how the player sees the item and ultimately how their character will interact with it. But with these uncommon magic weapons and the iconic bag of holding, your characters probably won't encounter multiples of these items throughout the campaign. In fact, I think your party should only ever come across one bag of holding because I'm a weirdo who kinda likes tracking encumbrance. So, like Granny's Tea, the stories of these individual items can also include their creator, who made it, and more importantly, why. Now hold on. This point is a bit of a world-building rabbit hole because unless it's an ancestral weapon handed down through generations that now lies in the hands of your character, ready to aid your hero in fulfilling their destiny, the player might not at all be interested in who made the thing. So there's no need to flesh out a full identity and motivations of this NPC enchanter who is probably long dead. Regarding the creator's background, you can use it to come up with a simple signature of the item, like how the blades of Mastersmith Azurai have a greater heft and density among the other High Elven swords of the Akash Desert because she learned a few tricks about folding steel from the Dorgaram dwarves in the southern mountains. Again, this could even affect the item's mechanics, though the main point about magic item's backstory that should affect its mechanics is why the creator forged it. Because more than where it came from or who made it, I think the reason this magical item was brought into the world determines the source of its magical power. Yes, a weapon was probably built for a great warrior long ago, and a bag of holding might have originally hidden some incredible treasure in an inconspicuous space. But if desperate times were calling for desperate measures, what otherworldly force might have been called upon to lend its magic to this cause, and at what cost? This greater power, whether elemental, arcane, divine, or eldritch, controls the item's power and limitations, and provides the most straightforward link between the history and the character who now wields it. In other words, health potions made in the name of Archdevil Asmodeus might gradually shift the ownership of a character's soul, while potions made under the good grace of the Feywild's unicorn queen LaRue might make it slightly easier for the character to charm woodland beasts, or even speak with animals for a short time. You can find a table of minor properties and quirks in Chapter 7 of the Dungeon Master's Guide, or just check out this PDF of 100 minor magical properties I found on Reddit, linked in the description. For magical weapons, I also like to add custom features based on the power source as the character becomes more powerful. You can get inspiration from spells or other classes, and it's great to collaborate with the player when homebrewing these features. Overall, building on that power source is an awesome way to connect the party to potential villains or allies, weaving your whole story together. And if you made it this far, you get my best actual tip for making the bag of holding unique. That is, to change where its contents are stored based on the source of its power. As written, they're kept somewhere on the astral plane, but you should definitely choose another plane of existence and have it subtly affect the conditions of items that go inside. This could even be used as an adventure hook, where your party realizes their stuff is going missing and they must travel into the bag of holding on a quest to get it back. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing. Thank you to our sponsors, Describe and Wanderer's Guide to Merchants and Magic. Thanks to our new patrons, Robert, Chris, Natman, Philip, Scott, Dark Necro, Kira, and Le. Thank you for your support, and keep building.